Well, folks, we've waited weeks for pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 to go up here in the US and Canada, and this morning we finally have information on just when pre-orders will go up, but also information on some price increases, not for the console itself, but for the accessories. Basically, across the board, Nintendo is increasing the pricing on all of the Switch 2 accessories, which frankly isn't what I was expecting, but to be honest, given the economic crisis right now and the uncertainty of everything going on, at least the increases are going to the accessories and not the actual console itself, if that makes sense. Nintendo really must have crunched the numbers and looked at every possible outcome of, okay, we need to raise prices because of tariffs and everything else. What are we going to change that won't just completely screw everybody over? And seemingly they opted to choose those accessories and not the console itself. So the Nintendo Switch 2 itself, still $450 and $500 for the Mario Kart bundle. That's good. I'm glad that isn't changing. But the accessories, the camera, the extra controllers, that is a different story entirely. Those are raising in price a little bit here in the US. But we also have some new information on Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games from Marvelous. It sounds like if you buy a physical Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, it sounds like Nintendo actually does have some sort of Xbox Smart Delivery style recognition system for when you put a Switch 2 cartridge into a Switch 1. If it is a Switch 2 Edition, that content will also be on there, which is really good news, actually. So that is what we are talking about today. Of course, if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch 2 news videos and coverage, I would appreciate you subscribing. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, let's go over this pre-order information as well as the price increases for the accessories on Nintendo Switch 2. I'm happy the console isn't getting a price increase. We actually just saw in a lot of other territories, PlayStation is actually increasing the price of the digital PS5 again. And when I saw that, I was like, oh no, no. Nintendo's actually going to raise the price of this console after they delayed pre-orders from April 9th. Luckily, that isn't the case. And like I said already, luckily what they are increasing is just accessories, which, you know, it's obviously very unfortunate, and it sucks that anything is increasing in price when everything already is so expensive and, you know, cost of living is so high right now. But like, if I had to choose between them raising the price of the Switch 2 itself from, let's say, $450 to $500 for like the base unit, and then $500 to $550 for the Mario Kart bundle, versus them raising the prices of the Pro Controller a little bit, like, I'd rather them raise the price of the accessories. But let's go ahead and read this press release from Nintendo here. They say, retail pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 will begin on April 24th, 2025. So as of when I'm posting this video, in exactly 6 days in the US, you will be able to pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2. It is unclear to me whether or not that also includes Canada right now. I would assume it does. But of course, as always, make sure you're checking your actual local retailers for that. But in the US, pre-orders will be starting on April 24th, 2025, which is a Thursday. I'm going to do a whole separate video this weekend on It's Amiibo talking about how to pre-order this thing and like what the best strategy will be for those that want to see that. Definitely go check out that channel. They say here, quotes, at launch, the price for Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will remain as announced on April 2nd at $449.99, and the Nintendo Switch 2 plus Mario Kart World bundle will remain as announced at $499.99. Pricing for both physical and digital versions of Mario Kart World, $80, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, $70, will remain unchanged at launch. So the pricing of the games is not changing. All of the drop the price in the Nintendo Treehouse stream and in the Mario Kart World Direct, but also the you know, brave soldiers that were saying raise the price. You know, I saw a couple of those. They're not changing the price of the games, which, on the one hand, I feel like such an easy win for Nintendo right now would have just been to eat a $10 loss on that Mario Kart World pricing, but also they're already offering it kind of for $50 in that bundle, so maybe that's why they decided not to. And of course, $70 for DK Bonanza is as we expected. They do say here, though, however, Nintendo Switch 2 accessories will experience a price adjustment from those announced on April 2nd due to changes in market conditions. Other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are also possible in the future, depending on market conditions. So it is very important to note that every price we're about to go over is as of April 18th, 2025. We will see if things get worse, if the entire tariff situation keeps getting worse, and in general, inflation and everything, right? There's a lot to it. Nintendo is already saying, like, listen, it might get worse. we might end up changing the other price a little bit more here. So they say, we apologize for the retail pre-order delay and hope this reduces some of the uncertainty our customers may be experiencing. We thank our customers for their patience, and we share their excitement to experience Nintendo Switch 2 starting June 5th, 2025. So also no delay on the console. I know some people were expecting like a few week delay here in the US. And then we have all of the prices. So essentially, every accessory has been raised by about $5 There's a few exceptions to that here. So the Switch 2 itself with the Mario Kart bundle and the games, those are all remaining the same as we know. $450 for the base unit, $500 for the bundle, $80 for Mario Kart, $70 for DK Bonanza. What I do find interesting here is they do not talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 editions or anything of Mario Party Jamboree and Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, which are $80 for the retail box. But they talk about Bonanza. If they were just talking about launch day stuff, like, okay, then yeah, you're not going to talk about that. But since they included Bonanza here and didn't include the Switch 2 editions of those games, that is a little peculiar to me, I will be honest. But for the accessories here, the Switch 2 Pro Controller, that was going to cost $79.99. Now it costs $84.99. The Joy-Con 2 pair, the set of 2 extra Joy-Con, was going to be $89.99. Now it's $94.99. You can see a pattern here. Charging grip, that was going to be $35. Now it's $40. The Joy-Con straps, I think, were 12, now they're 14, so that's the smallest increase. But even the Joy-Con wheel set, that was originally $20, and now it's $25. The camera, that's an important one for those of us on launch day that want to be able to play Jamboree in July with the Jamboree TV stuff. That is going up $5 to $55. The Switch 2 dock set, this was going to be $110. That's actually going up a whole $10 here, so $120 for the extra dock. The official Nintendo carrying case was $35. Now that's going to be $40. The all-in-one carrying case was going to be $80, and now that's $85. An extra AC adapter, that was going to be $29.99, and now that is a sweet little $35 here. And then the Samsung microSD Express 256 gig card, Nintendo Switch 2 branded edition, is now going to cost $60. Obviously, this is all unfortunate. The fact that they even had to delay pre-orders to begin with is a bad thing. However, and maybe I'm looking at this a little too optimistically, I feel like this could have been so much worse. I mean, like I said, we literally just saw PlayStation raise the price of the PS5 in most regions outside of the US. I was worried they were actually going to change the price of the Switch 2 console itself. The games also are increasing. I know $80, like, oh, we're talking about an increase up to, like, what, 90? That would have been unimaginable, but, like, would it be, though? I don't know. With how things are right now, if they had come out and said, actually, Mario Kart World is $90, that would have been a death blow, right? To me, to my heart. So the fact that it really is just the accessories going up a little bit here and there, they're trying to offset those losses from the tariffs, from the loss of value in the dollar, right? They're increasing the prices of the accessories to just kind of chip away and offset the entire situation a little bit here. Every $2 they get from the Joy-Con strap set, or the $5 they're making from every Pro Controller sale, which of course will add up. A lot of people were worried that the Switch 2 was going to go from like $450 to $600. You know, like that would have been obviously a very different situation. So I feel like there were outcomes here that were significantly worse than what we're seeing. So to me, while yes, it would have been nice if nothing changed, and it would be nice if Mario Kart was a $60 or $70 game, I feel like this could have been worse, you know? Maybe I'm being too optimistic. Let me know what you think of all this new pricing in the comments below. We still need to learn the battery life on that Pro Controller. As long as the battery life is as good as the Switch 1 Pro Controller, but it also has those new GL and GR buttons, to me, 85, like, yeah, that's obviously just a ludicrous amount of money to spend on a controller. But also, since it has those back buttons, which is the main thing that like the DualSense Edge offers and the Xbox Series Elite controllers offer, those cost like $150, $200, I'm pretty sure. I actually have a DualSense Edge. I love that controller. That was $200, has like the customizable back paddles. Obviously, you're getting more customization there, but if the Switch 2 Pro Controller has that insane battery life and it has those back buttons, 85, for me personally, like I'm okay with spending that. It's also like really not that necessary for those that already have a Switch 1 Pro Controller, because all you're really getting is the new back buttons and the C button added there. The Joy-Con pair being 95 definitely feels a little more egregious here, because the Switch 1 Joy-Con set is 80, so they were already doing a $10 increase, but now it's actually a $15 increase. You're very borderline $100 here. I'm honestly surprised they didn't raise these a little bit more to like, okay, the Switch 2 Pro Controller is 90, the Joy-Con pair is 100. So yeah, I mean, a $5 incremental increase on all this stuff, like, yeah, obviously it's really annoying and it sucks, but I feel like this could have been so much worse. And then, yeah, that pre-order date, April 24th, I was very worried they were not going to give us that much notice. I was already preparing mentally, like, okay, I need to get a go bag to go sit outside my GameStop, my Best Buy, whatever, because I thought they would announce them like the day before. Because of how messy this entire situation has been before, yeah, they were trying to give us that full week's notice. I thought because of how everything has gone that they might just drop it randomly with like 6 hours notice, 8 hours notice, whatever. So it is nice that we're getting not quite a full week, but, you know, 6 days is enough time to prep and make plans accordingly. I can't imagine how how much of a crapshoot this is going to be, though. Even with the price increases on the accessories, and even with the Switch 2 itself already being more expensive than people expected, you know those hardcore Nintendo enthusiasts, but also just tech enthusiasts, are going to show up on day one. They are going to sell out of their initial stock, even though Nintendo is saying they're going to combat scalpers, and even though there's rumors of GameStops, for example, having like 100 units plus on launch day or so. I still think it's going to be hard to get one of these things. So if you are someone who's worried about pre-orders here in the US, definitely go check out my other channel at It's Amiibo. I'm going to do a full like pre-order guide, like, okay, accounts to follow on social media for alerts, what to do if you want to go wait in line for however many hours. I'll do a whole like little strategy video over there, because I know I personally will end up likely sitting in line for a while to pre-order this thing. I want to pre-order at Best Buy because they're doing a midnight release near me. I think GameStop also will, but I don't know. GameStop kind of sucks. I'd rather I'd rather get this thing at Best Buy if I can, but we will see on all that. There is something else I wanted to talk about today, though, and that is the Nintendo Switch 2 editions, because we have some new information from the Rune Factory Guardians of Ozma kind of FAQ page here. This is that new game for Marvelous, new Rune Factory game. I think it actually looks pretty cool. This was the first Switch 2 game I pre-ordered, actually, because we're talking about, okay, it's going to be hard to get a console. I feel like some of these like niche games on launch day might be even harder to get than the console itself. Like, how many copies realistically of a Rune Factory game are going to be available on day one? So I personally pre-ordered this. You can make your own judgments on that if you want to pre-order or not, if this even interests you. I know it's not for everybody, but this little FAQ here actually sheds some light on the entire Switch 2 edition situation in a very positive way, actually. We don't know if this will apply to every game, let's be clear here, but at the very least for Guardians of Ozma, it sounds like the Switch 2 cartridge will actually work as kind of like a little smart delivery cartridge. So if you don't know what Xbox Smart Delivery is, basically regardless of what Xbox console you're playing on, if you put a disc in, it knows what version to install. Same thing if you are on the store and you hit download. It knows, like, okay, I'm downloading the Series S version, or Series X, it'll know to download the Series X version, but especially from that disc, right? On PlayStation, if you go to like the PlayStation Store, you have to manually like select, okay, I want the PS4 version, I want the PS5 version, whatever the case is, at least on PS5 anyway. So it was kind of nice that Xbox just had it automated of like, okay, you just give me the best version, the version that makes sense for this console. I guess in a certain light, you might view this as a negative thing because it won't let you download specifically the Switch 1 version, but they say here, what is the physical Nintendo Switch 2 edition? The Nintendo Switch 2 edition is a red 64 gig game card that includes in full the Nintendo Switch game and the upgrade pack. There's no need to download the full game. Simply insert the card into either a Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2 console, and the correct version will launch automatically. And of course, like most titles, there may be some small updates or patches available at launch to provide minor fixes and improvements, but the complete game is on the game card ready to go from day one. So we weren't really sure about this. This is important. They are saying that if you buy the $70 retail Rune Factory Guardians of Ozma Switch 2 case on the red cartridge, you can actually put that into a Switch 1, which is very interesting, and I wonder if that will apply to the Nintendo first-party stuff. If I bought the Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition, can I put that into a Switch 1? I think so, as long as all that content is on the cartridge, which for select third-party games, but especially Nintendo, I think Nintendo's going to have all of that stuff on the cartridge. We kind of know that already. If I put that cartridge into the Switch 1, it sounds like it'll actually download the Switch 1 version, which is actually pretty cool. It's nice to see Nintendo actually having some sort of smart delivery here. And then, yeah, if you put it into a Switch 2, of course, it'll know to just install the Switch 2 version automatically based on this Marvelous FAQ. So it'd be nice if when you put it into the Switch 2, you had the option of like, okay, I would like to just play the Switch 1 version. Let's say there's some weird difference or like glitch in like one version or another, but I wasn't really expecting the Switch 2 physical editions to work on Switch 1 at all, or really even have that content on there, because the wording has been very weird. They're like, okay, it includes the Switch 1 version and the upgrade pack, but like, what does that really mean? So it is nice to have confirmation here that yes, it is the Switch 1 game and the upgrade pack on the cartridge, and depending on what console you put it into, it knows what version to install, We also have confirmation that it is going to be a red cartridge as well. I know there was some questioning of like, well, if it is just a Switch 1 game, will it just be a black cartridge again? No, it is going to be a red Switch 2 cartridge. It'll say Switch 2 on there, but it just has Switch 1 data and the upgrade pack, I guess, kind of separately, but not really on there, and it just kind of automatically detects it. So not too bad. I'm actually pretty happy about that, and it's cool to see Marvelous, this publisher that is publishing very niche Japanese stuff. They're going for that full 64 gig card. It is a $10 difference in price versus the Switch 1 version, but still, I'm pretty happy about that. So that is going to do it for this morning's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you feel about the price increases for the Switch 2 accessories? How do you feel about that pre-order dates? And how do you feel about the whole Switch 2 edition situation? I would love to get a conversation going down below. I had another video planned for today, so I guess I'll post that tomorrow, talking about Nintendo's big holiday 2025 game. So stay tuned for that. Of course, you can subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch 2 content. Follow me on Twitter at Botox Games, and check out my other channel at It's Amiibo. Like I said, I'll do a whole pre-order guide video over there either tomorrow or Sunday. We'll see about that. As always, you can click on one of these two videos to listen to me ramble about even more Nintendo stuff. Until next time, peace.